BIDV, Joint Stock Commercial Bank for Investment and Development of Vietnam, a pillar financial institution and the driving force of the national economy. 1. Overview of the Investment and Development Institution. The Joint Stock Commercial Bank for Investment and Development of Vietnam, international transaction name, Joint Stock Commercial Bank for Investment and Development of Vietnam, stock code BID, is one of the oldest, largest, and most profoundly influential financial institutions in the Vietnamese banking system. Belonging to the Big Four, the four largest state-owned commercial banks, BIDV is not merely a financial intermediary conducting mobilization and lending operations, but also serves as a crucial macroeconomic regulatory tool of the State Bank of Vietnam. In essence, BIDV embodies a unique combination of the socio-political responsibilities of a state-owned bank and the dynamism, flexibility, and profit-maximizing nature of a publicly listed commercial bank. This is the lifeblood entity providing capital for major national infrastructure, energy, and industrial projects, while simultaneously functioning as a comprehensive financial ecosystem serving tens of millions of individual and corporate clients. 2. Historical foundation and original legacy. To fully comprehend BIDV's current position, a researcher must look back at its extensive history of development spanning several decades. Established on April 26, 1957, BIDV's predecessor was the Bank for Construction of Vietnam, directly under the Ministry of Finance. Throughout various historical periods, this institution has changed its name and model multiple times to meet the demands of the country's economic stages. 1957 to 1981. Operated as the construction bank, responsible for allocating and managing state budget capital for basic construction investment. 1981 to 1989. Transformed into the Bank for Investment and Construction of Vietnam, beginning to diversify capital allocation forms. 1990 to 2012. Renamed the Bank for Investment and Development of Vietnam, officially transitioning into a state-owned commercial bank and expanding into multifunctional business sectors. 2012 to present. Officially equitized and listed on the Ho Chi Minh City Stock Exchange, HOS, in 2014 with the stock code BID. This event marked a turning point in transparency, compliance with international corporate governance standards, and the attraction of resources from the private and foreign sectors. 3. Economic strength and typical financial structure. BIDV's economic strength is evidenced by its massive financial figures, ranking at the top of the entire system. As of early 2025, BIDV's total assets exceeded 3.33 quadrillion VND, approximately over 130 billion US dollars, solidifying its position as the commercial bank with the largest asset scale in the Vietnamese banking system. The characteristics of BIDV's financial structure include income structure. Net interest income from core credit activities always plays the dominant role, reaching over 63 trillion VND in 2025. However, the bank is making a strong shift towards increasing the proportion of non-interest income, service fees, foreign exchange trading, and investment banking to reduce reliance on interest rate margins. Profitability. With profit after tax soaring to over 30 trillion VND, profitability indicators such as ROA, return on average equity, at approximately 18.78%, and ROA, return on average assets, at 0.98%, demonstrate exceptional asset exploitation capacity, despite the massive capital scale. Asset quality. Thanks to the restructuring process and the application of strict risk management standards, BIDV's bad debt ratio is tightly controlled, with the bad debt coverage ratio consistently maintained at a high safety level, creating a solid defensive cushion against macroeconomic shocks. 4. Distinctive position and constructive role in the national economy. The most fundamental difference distinguishing BIDV from private commercial banks is its constructive role. BIDV does not merely pursue profit maximization, but also shoulders the mission of leading, stabilizing, and developing the macroeconomy. Sponsoring key projects. The bank is the primary capital sponsor for the electricity, road, school, healthcare, telecommunications, and renewable energy sectors. Major hydroelectric, thermoelectric, and highway projects in Vietnam largely bear the imprint of BIDV's capital flow. Policy leverage. During difficult economic cycles, BIDV serves as a tool of the state bank to transmit monetary policy, for example, interest rate support packages, debt restructuring for businesses, and pioneering lending rate reductions to support economic recovery. Market maker. In the interbank and corporate bond market, BIDV acts as a market maker, providing liquidity and establishing standard reference prices for the entire system. 5. Organizational structure and comprehensive coverage network. BIDV's organization and network are designed in a deep and wide pyramidal structure, ensuring consistency from the strategic direction at the headquarters to execution at the grassroots level. Physical scale. BIDV owns one head office in Hanoi, along with a nationwide network comprising 189 domestic branches and 928 transaction offices. This network penetrates deeply from economic centers to rural areas, allowing the bank to effectively mobilize idle capital from the population and deliver funds directly to consumers and small and medium enterprises, SMEs. Subsidiary ecosystem. Besides the parent bank's operations, BIDV's structure includes an ecosystem of subsidiaries and affiliated companies in the following sectors: insurance, BIC, BIDV MetLife, securities, BSC, asset management, BAMC, and financial leasing, BLC. This distribution allows the bank to provide comprehensive financial services, cross-selling, and diversify risks. 6. Business model and service ecosystem structure. BIDV operates under a multifunctional commercial bank model with clear polarization in its core business pillars. Wholesale banking, corporate clients. This is BIDV's historical DNA. The bank specializes in providing working capital financing, supply chain financing, international payments, and trade finance solutions for state-owned corporations, multinational corporations, FDI, and large enterprises. Retail banking, individual clients. Recognizing the shift in demographic structure and the rise of the Vietnamese middle class, BIDV has made a strong strategic shift towards the retail segment. Products like home loans, consumer loans, credit cards, and payment deposits are heavily promoted to increase net interest margin, NIM, and disperse credit risks. Investment banking and treasury. Executing advisory operations for bond issuance, M&A, and foreign exchange transactions. BIDV's foreign exchange trading volume consistently ranks at the top of the market. 7. Distinctive features and superior competitive advantages. For a researcher to clearly distinguish BIDV from other financial entities such as Vietcom Bank, Vietin Bank, or private banks like Techcom Bank and MB Bank, attention should be paid to 3 core competitive advantages. 1. Project legacy inheritance. No other bank in Vietnam possesses the data repository, experience, and profound understanding of large infrastructure, construction, and heavy industry projects quite like BIDV. This creates an incredibly solid economic moat in the large project client segment. 2. State backing. With the state holding a controlling stake of over 80%, BIDV enjoys the highest national credit rating. This helps the bank easily access cheap capital in the international market and build absolute trust among domestic depositors. 3. Customer base strength. BIDV possesses a massive individual customer base along with a corporate customer network covering all essential industries, generating a stable source of current and savings accounts, CASA. 8. imprint of international integration and global strategic partnerships. BIDV's vision does not stop at Vietnam's borders. International integration is implemented by the bank at two strategic levels: correspondent network and international presence. BIDV has established a correspondent banking network with over 2,300 financial institutions globally, serving international payments and trade finance. The bank also expands its physical presence with 4 representative offices and commercial presence in Cambodia, BIDC, Laos, BIDL, Myanmar, Taiwan, and the Russian Federation, becoming a financial bridge for Vietnamese enterprises investing abroad. The historic handshake with KEB Hana Bank. The brightest highlight in BIDV's international orientation was the private placement of 15% stake to KEB Hana Bank, South Korea,